Story of the audacious police sting that tricked Daniel Morcombe's killer into confessing. Tonight, witnesses who've never spoken, video never previously shown, and startling evidence that never made it to court. And a warning, parts of this report are confronting. Here's Ross Coulthart with how they trapped Daniel's killer.
They're both as bad as each other, aren't they? Aren't they hopeless, these bloody women, mate? It's bloody ridiculous.
Hey, relish to be.
Brett Peter Cowan is evil.
I think he was just wired wrong from the beginning.
A serial pedophile and cold-blooded killer. He fooled police for nearly a decade. And then the police fooled him. Inside this room, the incredible final moments of the Mr. Big sting.
From the information I've got, all right, I'm told you've done the Daniel Morcombe murder.
We take you inside the Mr. Big sting. Catching the predator who killed Daniel Morcombe would require something out of the ordinary, a massive undercover police operation, the likes of which Australia has never seen before. Over many months, the suspect is led to believe he's being recruited into a major crime gang with the chance to make huge money.
You still interested?
Yeah, for sure.
As he gets nearer to the big payday, his final test is to meet Mr. Big, the head of the gang, who will demand complete honesty about all past crimes.
Yeah, let's have a talk to this Mr. Shadow about a few things that have come up.
The tactic was developed in Canada to crack cold cases.
There's an awful lot of work goes into the sting and leading up to that meeting between the suspect and the Mr. Big.
Bob DC spent 23 years as an undercover cop perfecting the sting. He's played the role of Mr. Big on 4 different murder investigations. He got 4 confessions, 4 convictions.
If you're playing the part of a Mr. Big, you have to live, eat, and breathe that part you're playing.
The things that have come up that we need to talk about.
I was living in the area in 2003 when Daniel Morcombe went missing.
On the afternoon of December the 7th, 2003, Daniel was at this bus stop, a short distance from his home. He was going Christmas shopping, but the bus he was waiting for had broken down.
About 2:10, a replacement bus came to pick up the passengers that were on the broken down bus, but not to pick up any new passengers. So around 2:10, a bus drove past Daniel. 3 minutes later, the next bus came past to pick Daniel up and any new passengers, and in that 3 minutes, Daniel wasn't there.
He just disappeared.
No sight of Daniel.
It's our understanding the window of opportunity is only 3 minutes. And on a relatively busy road, it's just incredible that something so graphic could happen so quickly.
You see Humpty Dumpty?
Humpty Dumpty get nothing more.
Good boy. Bruce and I made a vow on the first day that we'd never give up, so.
Among the thousands of leads and scores of possible suspects were 39 known pedophiles who were in the vicinity of the bus stop around the day Daniel disappeared. One of them was Brett Cowan. Born in Bunbury, Western Australia, his family moved to Brisbane. At high school, Cowan was a loner.
Was he ever violent?
Yes, he was. He would pick on lads who were weaker than him.
John Sear was one of Cowan's teachers and remembers his cruel streak, particularly towards animals.
I ran a bush skills course and we would go on weekend camps. And he would be parading a frilly lizard or a possum or something that he had been cruel to. And
he'd killed it?
Killed or staked, been really harsh with it. Happened around the school as well. There are some native fauna there as well, and it was a case of, Brett, no.
But Brett Cowan had even worse perversions. By the time this video was taken in 1993, he was already a convicted sex offender. As an 18-year-old, he'd gone to prison for indecently assaulting a 7-year-old boy in a toilet block at a daycare centre. The boy told police that Cowan had also threatened to strangle him.
Hey, Brett, what's happening? Are you drinking my beer?
Just over a year later, Cowan was out of jail and back on the streets. He started dating a teenager called Tracy.
Tracy, that's rude. Yeah, look at the camera.
When I first met him, he was very charming, very confident.
Sounds like we're recording. Where's Tracy?
Tracy was 18. Cowan was in his mid-20s. They were neighbours together in this street. He invited her to a barbecue, and within a few weeks, they were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Did he ever tell you about his previous offences?
No. There was no indication of what he was at that stage.
In September 1993, while Cowan was living with Tracy in a caravan park in Darwin, he struck again.
My next-door neighbour, 2 doors down, this lady, she couldn't find her 7-year-old son.
And what happened?
Well, about close to midnight, I think it was. Me and my girlfriend Liz went up to the BP, because it's 24 hours, to buy some cigarettes. And there was an ambulance there, and the mother of this little boy was standing there in tears, very hysterical. They had found her son.
The little boy had a collapsed and punctured lung, a black eye. He had a deep cut to the back of his head and to his genitals. Cowan had led him into the bush, where he'd savagely, indecently assaulted him. Then he'd tried to strangle him, and he left him for dead.
Do you think he was trying to kill you?
Yes, I do.
That little boy is now 27. For legal reasons, we've disguised his identity. Do you remember much about what happened after he stabbed you?
He then walked away, left me there in the back of the caravan park on a burnt-out car, tied up. The ropes weren't tied up tightly enough so I could actually wiggle myself out of them. I think he thought I might have died there, but I think I had the willpower just to survive.
A few days after the attack, police picked Cowan up after learning he was a known sex offender. Then they called Tracy to the police station, where she confronted him.
I said, "Don't tell me you're the man responsible for what happened to that little boy," and he didn't answer me. He just kept looking at the table, and I just felt sick.
Was that the moment you realised?
That's the moment I knew. You can't describe it. You feel sick, you feel betrayed, you just feel so ill.
You realise, don't you, that he's the man who assaulted and killed Daniel Morcombe?
Yes, I do.
How does that make you feel?
Angry.
Why does it make you angry?
Because he shouldn't have got out when he done it to me.
Sentenced to 7 years jail, Cowan got out in little more than half the time, after being transferred to Queensland to complete a sex offenders program. I might tell you something very interesting, is that in the sex offender treatment program when he was in jail, he admitted that by the time he came to your school, he'd already sexually had contact with 30 other children.
Oh, my goodness.
He admitted that he'd had sexual contact with 30 children. 30 children aged between 5 and 12 years old.
Oh, my God.
You never had any indication of that?
No.
Don't make it.
They make it on an angle purposely, but when a builder really builds it...
This is the Blues Brothers.
He does it, he does it without thinking.
Does he?
After his release in 1998, Cowan joined this Sunshine Coast church. He met, married and had 2 children with a fellow parishioner, also called Tracy.
This is the house where Brett Cowan was living with his then wife Tracy and 2 sons at the time that Daniel Morcombe was abducted. It's just a half an hour's drive from the overpass where Daniel disappeared.
Seen on the news about a little boy that had gone missing under a bridge in Maroochydore, and I recognised the bridge. And I just thought, nah, it couldn't be Brett. He'd still be in prison for what he did to the other little boy. And a few nights later, after dreaming about it and going, nah, I better make a call to Crime Stoppers and, you know, it could be him if he's out. It is him if he's out.
Tracy rang the police, who already had Brett Cowan down as a possible suspect, and now they interviewed him.
Brett, can you just state your full name, thanks?
Brett Peter Cowan.
What's your date of birth, Brett?
18/9/69.
Cowan even looked like one of the police sketches of the suspects and joked with detectives about it.
Have you seen the conflicts that have been released in relation to this?
Yeah.
You've seen them on TV?
Yeah.
Do you think you look anything like those conflicts?
Well, I saw one of them.
Cowan provided a DNA sample. His Nissan Pajero was taken away and forensically examined.
When I got back, there was fingerprint dust, black and white fingerprint dust everywhere.
What's he, has he touched anything in the car at all?
Would have only been the door handle and the...
They've never come with no prints or nothing?
No.
If you had abducted Daniel, would you tell me?
Probably not.
All right. No worries. We'll terminate the interview at 4:09.
What thwarted police was that Cowan seemed to have a watertight alibi, provided by his drug dealer, Sandra Drummond. She told the police Cowan was with her at the time Daniel Morcombe was taken in 2003.
In 2004, Cowan left his wife and 2 boys. 2 years later, he met Sarah. She was 18, he was 37.
What sort of things did he say to you?
That I was beautiful, that I was gorgeous, that even though that I was a large woman, that's the sort of thing that made him happy, and that he would give me everything I wanted.
During his time with Sarah, Cowan posed for these professional photos. To the outside world, he was the picture of charm. But alone with Sarah, he displayed a different side.
During intimacy, he was a very rough individual who liked to strangle or liked to make me pass out.
He was strangling you to the point of unconsciousness?
Yes. And now, knowing what I know now, it disturbs me, and I quite often have nightmares and can't sleep.
By now, the pair had moved to a caravan park on Bribie Island, 70 kilometres north of Brisbane. Cowan's behaviour got even more disturbing. One night, he pressured Sarah to act out a scenario she now realises is almost identical to how Daniel was abducted in 2003.
We stopped at a service station. He told me to get out and pretend that I did not know him and asked for a lift, and he then proceeded to drive away. He came back. I got in the car. On the ride home, he said, you should be more careful who you trust picking you up, don't you? And locked the doors. He then proceeded to take me back to the caravan park and pulled me by my hair into the caravan and proceeded with disgusting sexual acts upon me. I now realise what I'm describing, and it makes me sick.
When you gave evidence in the trial, did you tell that story?
No, I didn't.
You weren't allowed to, were you?
No.
Do Do you think that the jury should have been allowed to know the full story of Brett Cowan?
Yes. I think everyone should know the full story about how much of a sick monster he is.
But at the time, Sarah had no idea what Brett Cowan had done. Then in 2010, police had a breakthrough that demolished Cowan's alibi given to him by his drug dealer, Sandra Drummond.
Cowan's alibi seemed rock solid until police investigators came here to the Beerwah RSL. They checked the activity log for Sandra's player loyalty card, which showed that at the time she'd said she was at home with Cowan, she was in fact here gambling. Cowan's alibi for the time that Daniel was kidnapped was blown.
Cowan was now the prime suspect, but with no direct evidence linking him to Daniel's abduction, what police needed was a confession.
What was his email address?
His email address was 6ULDV8, which, if you say it fast enough, is sexual deviant.
After lying through his teeth at Daniel Morcombe's inquest, prime suspect Brett Cowan is flying back to his new home in Perth. In the seat next to him, a man called Joe strikes up a conversation. Cowan is up for the chat. By the time they land, they're mates.
Oh, the big man about town already.
But Joe is an undercover cop, playing the role of a criminal. He tells Cowan he's got some illegal work and there's money in it.
Getting close, so get his face on there.
Yeah. Early on, Cowan's given the job of staking out a prostitute called Brooke. She's actually a policewoman.
You've got to keep a close eye on her.
Yeah.
No? Got to keep the leash tight, whack him in. Good job.
With each criminal act, like stealing cigarettes or selling illegal seafood, Cowan is being sucked further in.
So, all good things come to those who wait.
And as the crimes got bigger,
got a little present for you.
So did the rewards.
Yeah, thanks, mate. That's great.
In the Mr. Big scenarios that I've been a part of, greed is always at the forefront. It's always the person looking to make the easy money or the big score.
They all blanks.
In all, there were 24 fake crimes Cowan was asked to commit.
You're exposing the suspect to the criminal organization and showing him that it's a brotherhood, that they're tight-knit, that they take care of each other, and of course that there's money at the end of the day.
It all led up to the big payday Cowan was thirsting for.
I just want to say, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
The gang told him of a plan to import ecstasy pills worth $1 million, and that Cowan's cut would be $100,000. But he had one final test to pass. He'd only be included if he won the trust of Mr. Big. On the 9th of August 2011, 7 years, 8 months and 2 days after Daniel Morcombe disappeared, Brett Cowan is about to be stung. As he walks through the doors of the Hyatt Regency, waiting upstairs in the presidential suite is Mr. Big, played by an undercover cop.
All right, how you doing, mate? Yeah, good.
The final act of the incredible Mr. Big sting is about to be played out in this room.
How you going, bud? What's been happening?
Respect from an underworld boss. Right now, Brett Cowan's thinking all his dreams are coming true.
But there's a problem. 6 minutes into their conversation, Mr. Big tells Cowan that he has a snitch in the police force who's given him information that's got him worried.
From the information I've got, all right, I'm told you've done the Daniel Morcombe murder. I'm told that it's dead set that you're the one who's done it. And like I said, that doesn't bother me at all. But what concerns me is that I need to I can sort this for you.
Here's the deal. Mr. Big has the power to fix anything, to make any crime go away, even murder. Cowan's led to believe that all Mr. Big wants is to trust his own gang members, and that to do that, he has to confess to whatever crime he's committed, no matter how cowardly or sickening.
Now, I can sort things out, I can buy alibis, I can get rid of stuff, all that kind of things that needs to be done, I can do.
Cowan at first denies killing Daniel.
I can even guarantee I had nothing to do with Daniel Morcombe's disappearance.
So the undercover cop turns up the heat.
I postponed the business I had to do this morning to sit down with you one-on-one and sort this shit out, all right? But like I said, I can't sort out what I don't know. So, look, what happened and how can I sort it out?
I don't know.
Like I said, all right? Honesty, trust, respect, all right? You know where you're going. You know what your options are here, all right? And you know the information I've got. And as I said, I pay good people, good money to keep us clean. And if I've got to postpone what we're going to do for a few months to sort this out, I'm happy to do that for your sake, all right? Because I'm told that you're pretty loyal. You build up a good relationship with some of the boys, and they speak very highly of you. So what do I need to fix?
Yeah, okay. No. Yeah, I do.
8 words after nearly 8 years that solve the crime. Yeah, okay, you know, yeah, I did it.
What's it like, that moment?
It's complete elation and complete panic. Yeah, I did it is just not enough. You've got to go back through from beginning to horrible end and have every last detail come out.
And when you strangled him, what, 2 hands, 1 hand, or elbow?
They break so Cowan can have a smoke. He's feeling more cocky than ever.
So I'm confident that they can't kill me for it.
Then back inside, he draws a map for Mr. Big, showing where he took Daniel.
The end of Roy's Road comes in here like back to a macadamia or an avocado farm. Yeah. And that sort of spreads out around here like this.
Chillingly, some years after dumping Daniel's body, Cowan returned to the scene of the crime with his then-girlfriend, Sarah.
Took me to a macadamia farm in through the forestry near Roy's Road.
There's a couple of sheds.
There was 2 demountable buildings there and another shed that looked like it had a lot of machinery around it.
What does he do?
He took me there. He wanted to role play again, but I refused, which made him quite angry.
This is 5 years before Daniel's remains were found there.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Mate. It took Mr. Big to get Cowan to go back one more time.
All right, so what we'll do is you go down and get something to eat. Yeah. We'll put you up somewhere tonight. Try and get you on a plane tomorrow. Yeah. Get over there and sort all that shit out as quickly and as cleanly as we can. Well, like I said, I've got no real qualms that we can sort this for you. I'll sort it out worse for you, all right?
4 days later, Cowan took 2 members of the gang to the farm and led them to the spot where he'd left Daniel's body. Then, to his great surprise, Brett Cowan was arrested. He was told he could make 1 phone call. Instead of calling a lawyer, he rang Sarah. Her husband answered.
What did he say?
He said, tell Sarah she's dead.
Because he knew you were the one person that could link him back to Morcombe.
Yes.
Daniel Morcombe.
Yes.
The macadamia farm.
Yes. And all his role-playing would definitely link him to everything.
At the very moment that he knew he was busted,
yes,
the one person he wanted to shut up was you.
On Friday, Brett Cowan was sentenced to life in prison. It will be 20 years before he's eligible for parole. Sarah gave evidence against him.
After I had given my evidence, when I was leaving the witness box, I made eye contact with Mr. Morcombe, and he nodded as if to say thank you very much for giving your evidence today, and that broke me. I cried as I walked out of the courtroom.
Well, I think a lot of people, including the Morcombes, would be very grateful for you doing what you did.
Yes.
We'll stop there.
We have to thank certainly all the covert police officers, the SES searchers, the scientific experts that all contributed to making sure that a sex offender, a murderous sex offender, was caught and exposed for his actions.
Thanks very much to everyone. And Daniel's legacy will continue with the Daniel Morcombe Foundation, keeping kids safe.
Ross Coulthard with that special investigation.